It's like a 1.5, 2 hour flight. So it's
Oh my
not,
gosh, that's much shorter than I was thinking.
yeah.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's perfect time to like watch one movie. And then by the time I'm done with the movie, we're
Yeah.
on the ground.
I measure my travel in units of movies as well. Hello, and welcome to Journeys to College and Beyond. So, leaving home for college is obviously a very big step, but moving to an entirely different state is a whole new adventure. From adjusting to campus life and making friends, unexpected challenges, and maybe even perks of being far from home. The experience is full of challenges and opportunities, so if you or someone in your life is curious about what it's like to go to school out of state, you're in luck because today we are sitting down with Adam, an out of state student at the University of Illinois, to talk about what it's really like to find your footing when you are far from home. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. So I know I just kind of introduced our theme for the day, which obviously you're kind of the expert in right now. But why don't you go ahead and take a chance to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So, like you said, my name's Adam. I'm a junior here at Illinois, where I'm majoring in architecture with a minor in urban regional planning from our College of Fine Applied Arts. And then I am from Chappaqua, New York. It's a suburb about 45 minutes north of New York City. So I definitely came about 750 miles from home. So definitely a bit little
Wow.
adjustment coming out here.
Oh my gosh. So you're in your junior year, so
Yeah.
you feel like pretty well adjusted on campus, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It was definitely, it was a little struggle at first, but now it feels like my second home.
Yeah. What do you think it was like at first? Like, what were some of those like initial growing pains of coming to campus?
I mean, definitely, it is that adjustment of being in a place where there's like 35,000 new people you've never met
Yeah.
before. But it was definitely, I mean, it was a little daunting before I stepped foot on campus. But once I came here, I realized that it's a really welcoming place. Everyone's trying to make friends, meet new people. So it really instantly felt like that community.
That's nice. That makes it easy when everyone's kind of in the same boat too,
Yeah.
for sure. So, going back, we just went back to like your very first couple of, weeks on campus. Even before that, when you were looking at schools, looking into where you maybe wanted to go to college, what were the biggest things that you were looking for when you were kind of exploring your options?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the main things I was looking for was, of course, academically driven. I knew I wanted to do a degree in architecture, so I was looking for a school that would have that architecture track. But more than that, I knew from taking some classes in high school, I had an interest in urban planning. So I wanted a school where I was able to study architecture, but take those urban planning classes. And I found definitely that here I've been able to very easily major and minor in urban planning, take a lot of really cool classes. So that's definitely a perk that I found through us university here.
Yeah.
And then even just, I wanted a school that was like great community, great environment, great atmosphere. Everyone here on campus is super friendly, but they're all happy to be here. They're proud to be Illini, and I just love
Yeah.
that community feeling that you get. You feel like you're part of something bigger here on campus.
That's so nice. I love that. And I went here as well, so I definitely felt the same things, even though I was just coming from basically in town.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice shared experience. And you touched on something that I definitely want to explore more, which is obviously one thing that people consider when they're weighing their options for college is the major.
Yeah.
You mentioned architecture. You sound really into it. So what drew you to study architecture? Was there a moment or an experience that made you realize that was the path you wanted to go down?
Yeah. So I sort of joke, I sort of have the very generic architecture upbringing of
Okay.
I love playing with Legos and Minecraft and, all those different building things growing up. So
Yeah.
I knew I wanted a career design, something where I could like build with my hands and be creative. And then it was coming to like junior year high school, it's debating between architecture and engineering. And I took AP Physics 1. After that experience, it was not my favorite class I've ever taken, so decided the engineering, definitely not for me. I'll leave that to someone else, and
Yeah.
dove headfirst into architecture.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like, I have the quintessential architecture upbringing, but it seems obvious to you now, probably because you are so like immersed in the
Yeah.
architecture stuff at this point in your college career. But I think to someone who's maybe in high school or even younger, and they're not really thinking, like, they have these interests, but they're
Yeah.
maybe not seeing that connection between playing with Legos and a career in architecture. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's like a piece of advice for people that are a little bit on the younger side is looking at your interests
Yeah.
and also kind of taking the classes that are offered to you in your high school to try them out. Do you feel like your high school was a large high school?
Yeah, it was like 1,200 people total. It's like a
Okay.
medium-sized high
Medium
school.
sized, yeah. So you had like lots of AP classes or like just a handful?
Yeah, I had a fair few APs. I think I took 7 APs throughout my time in high school. So definitely
Nice.
had that experience to get out, and definitely like even taking some like art course at my school to get out there and sort of learn and experience, learn about different programs.
Yeah, for sure. Um, taking AP classes. To me in high school, that was like a very intimidating step towards trying on the college course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you feel the same way, but they can feel intense.
It definitely was, yeah. Like I think my junior year of high school, I took 2 APs, and it was definitely like a step up. It was then I think my senior year, I took something like 5 APs. That was
Oh
definitely
my gosh.
a much higher course load,
Yeah.
but I think it was a good step to like get adjusted to now taking those higher level courses where it's like more work, more out of class work to then it was a good transition then to college where they're sort of
Yeah.
at that those especially those freshman year courses are sort of at that similar level, so you're already feeling well adjusted.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like that it's really helpful to have a little bit of a transit because obviously all of the other factors, the social thing, moving, maybe moving out of state,
Yeah.
all of these factors are kind of overwhelming. So having a little bit of an academic transition, super helpful. Yeah, and then it's kind of like a little bit lower stakes. You can try on something like physics and be like, "Is this for me? No, that's okay. Let's try something new."
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. And we have a great architecture school as well. Are we the first?
We were our first graduate, Nathan Ricker, was the first person to graduate with an architecture degree in the U.S.
Wow.
And then we also graduated the first woman and the first African-American architect. So we have
Wow.
a long legacy of the program. Is still just as great a program as it was back in the early 1900s.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. So probably influence your decision to want to like move out of state.
Yeah.
Come all the way to
it was
Illinois.
definitely, I knew it was a well-respected and well-traditioned architecture, so I knew I'd get a good degree and have the skills I needed to progress
Yeah.
into grad
You
school.
felt confident in the program.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
knew I was going to get out what I needed to.
Awesome. You mentioned, do you have a minor or an
I-
area of focus?
I do,
You
yeah. I'm minoring in the Department of Urban Planning.
Oh,
so-
great. Yeah. Hand in hand with the architecture
Yeah,
stuff.
it's very, I mean, we're literally in the same building and door down from each other. So
Nice.
it's been great to sort of combine my interest in like architecture and the built environment, sort of now looking at that larger scale, be like, how does the building interact with the city, the community, and sort of looking
Yeah.
at that and sort of apply that.
Totally. Well, speaking of community, we kind of touched on the sense of community that you found here, but just even digging even deeper on that, were there any particular programs, student organizations, or even just experiences that you had that kind of helped you build that community on campus?
Yeah, so I think right off the bat, what really helped with that community was just living in a residence hall. Like that was
Yeah.
definitely something where I lived in Hopkins Hall over in the Eikenberry Commons, and
Nice.
I'd picked that residence hall. Me and my roommate, we had met virtually through like a Facebook page. So
Yeah.
we were coming in. Both of us didn't really know that many people, and Hopkins Hall was written up as one of the more like social residence halls. So I was like, okay, I want to meet people. Might as well stay there. And then within just those first few weeks of classes, already built, made a lot of close friends. What really helped is like we left pretty much our doors wide open the entire first few weeks. So if you were just bored, you could just walk down the hallway, see whose door was open, pop in, introduce yourself, and definitely made a lot of friends that way. And
That's great.
still great friends with a lot of those people.
Oh, I love to hear that. Yeah, I feel like that open door freshman, residence situation is that's definitely making the most of being so immersed with everyone that's your age. You're all on that level playing field of like the same, couple weeks in a new place. Yeah. Did you live in the residence hall for just that freshman year?
Yeah, I lived
Okay.
just there freshman year, and then sophomore year now this year I've moved off campus into a house in Urbana. So
Oh, very nice. Urbana is great. No one ever talks about Urbana really, but
it's the hidden gem because it's I'm only like 3 minutes off campus
Mm-hmm.
by walking, but it's much more quiet neighborhood environment, a lot of houses. So
it's like a magical like kind of vibe right now. It's springtime as we're recording and it's just beautiful.
the trees are out in bloom, the little bulbs and the wildflowers are popping up. It's a nice place to live right
Yeah.
now.
It's just a nice it's nice to wake up to like your commute to class or work or whatever it is. It's like kind of like a neighborhood. It's easy to get lost in like just the campus only stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love an Urbana shout out. This is like a great, we're talking community. I would say like Champaign and Urbana are like just cool places to explore if you get off campus. I don't know if you have any like local places you like to go if you ever get off
Yeah,
campus.
I definitely like to, if I'm going to Champaign, I mean, love walking around the little downtown, eating some restaurants. My family favorite is Maze out at the train station. It's
Maze.
our favorite. Anytime my family visits, we go there. Pretty much sometimes we go twice in the same weekend. It's just a great place. But even
Can't get enough.
out in Urbana, exploring all the little, the Lincoln Square Mall, great little mall to walk around.
Yeah.
And then every Saturday they have a big farmer's market. So
Love that farmer's market.
get out,
too.
get some fresh produce, talk to some residents. It's a great way to feel involved in the community here. More than just, there's more than just the university community, but get involved with the greater Champaign-Urbana.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you mentioned that you are kind of bringing your family down and they come and visit and explore the campus and beyond with you, which kind of leads me to my next question I was curious about is how you stay connected with home and family while you're obviously here,
Yeah.
getting your degree, building your life and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll like Zoom call or talk to my parents,
Right.
like do like a more formal call, usually like every few weeks, usually try for like once a month. Freshman year, did it a little bit more often, maybe like every other week, just for those first few weeks, just getting adjusted, just filling them in. It was more of just like talking about the class I was taking, friends I was making activities, but it's definitely still keeping that involved of, calling them once every few weeks, staying involved, and then usually they come down to try to visit campus once a year. So
Oh, okay, great.
they visit, usually we try to, in the fall semester, they'll time it for a football game. So
Perfect.
they've in the past come down for the homecoming game so we can hang out, go to the football game together, and then sort of build that. Yeah.
That's a great rhythm you've established there with the visit, the football game. That sounds
Yeah.
like a perfect time to come visit. Would you say that you go home about the same amount as they come to visit you here?
Probably. I mostly only go home during the break. So
Okay. Maybe even a little more then,
yeah,
like a
'cause
couple times a year.
I'll stick here on campus and then I'll go home for Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break, and then at the end of the year. So it is definitely a little schlep to get home. It's a long travel day. I mean, that being said, it's
Yeah.
a pretty easy travel day. I just head over to the Illinois Street Residence Hall area and hop on the Peoria Charter, and the
Okay,
bus
yes.
takes me right up to O'Hare, and I can then hop on my flight home.
These are the pro tips. I was like hoping we would get a little bit of the, the inside scoop. But yeah, so Peoria charter bus straight to the airport.
Oh yeah.
That's so easy.
They stop on the Armory on the Champaign side, ISR on the Urbana side. 2.5 hours later, you're at O'Hare Terminal 2.
Yeah.
And you can just
Straight to the airport.
straight to the airport. Same when I'm coming back. I just land at O'Hare, take the little airport train over to the car rental facility and hop on the bus. And a few hours later, I'm back in campus. So really very easy getting back and forth.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, as I may have mentioned a little bit earlier, I went here, but I am like from the area. So I never had to deal with any of the logistical aspects
Yeah.
that you're talking about. It would probably be intimidating to some of it. It's nice to know that you actually found like a pretty easy, 1, 2, 3 step to get home. That's great.
It's
And how
definitely-
long do you stay typically at home? I guess
Typically, I'll
breaks
do like the length of the break. So if the break is like
A week.
a week for Thanksgiving break, fall break, spring break, winter break, I'll usually stay the length of the break. It depends. Sometimes I've come back early to hang out with some friends on campus or
Yeah.
take a day trip up to Chicago. But for the most part, the whole length of it.
Nice. Do you does your family is like send you home with anything particular when you come to visit and then you're going back to campus?
There are definitely, I'll pack some snacks.
Nice.
I definitely love, we don't have a Trader Joe's here on campus. I would love a Trader Joe's on campus,
Someday, I
but
hope.
until we get one, I'll bring some. I always like bring extra, leave some space in my bag. So when I know coming back from home, I can fill it with some of those Trader Joe's and other snacks and
Right.
goodies I can get back home. I can't get out here.
Totally. Is that the thing you miss the most from being in your hometown?
A little bit, some of the food, some of the community, but it is definitely, it's made up for. I've discovered new grocery stores, new treats, new snacks, but
For sure. Yeah. What would you say is the biggest difference between New York and Champaign, Illinois?
I mean, one of the even just physically, it's very flat out here.
Yep, I've
And
heard that one.
it's very hilly back home. Our area's it's all woods and forests and hills. So and then coming out here, and it's flat cornfields. So it's definitely an adjustment. It took a little bit. My first time ever coming out here to campus, we were driving down from Chicago. We were like 20 minutes out, and it was still just driving through cornfields. And I was getting a little worried. I was looking around. I was like, "Is there a campus anywhere?" And
Where
then
is the campus?
and then it just sort of emerges out of nowhere. You appear in Champaign-Urbana.
Like a
So
mirage.
that was definitely one of. And then with that sort of it's a lot windier out here because of it's so flat. So there's definitely getting adjusted to the wind was another difference I wouldn't have thought I'd to expect out here.
Yeah, totally. Do you think you have harsher winters in New York a little bit?
I think they're fairly the same. I think
Really?
maybe there's a little bit more snow back in New York, but the main difference is with the wind out here, it feels a lot colder because the cold wind whipping down the prairie. So
For sure. Yeah, there's like nothing to stop it. It's just like a
no, it's nothing's worse
fist of
than
wind
opening the door gets blown open, and just woof, with the rush of cold air.
yeah, that wind, and you get those storms sometimes too. It's like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, the little fun. I think there's even tornado warning just a few days ago. So that was definitely
It's different. It's like a different part of the world almost.
It is,
Even though it's not that far away.
Yeah.
How long is your flight, you said?
It's like a 1.5, 2 hour flight. So it's
Oh my
not.
gosh, that's much shorter than I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's perfect time to watch one movie, and then by the time I'm done with the movie, we're
Yeah.
on the ground.
I measure my travel in units of movies as well. Talking architecture, but also just kind of talking college in general.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a little bit of a myth busting experiment with you here on the podcast. So one when I don't know if I'll call it a myth or not, but a legend of college is the all-nighter.
Oh yeah.
And I know that architecture specifically has a reputation for being very guilty of those late nights. Can you attest to this? Do you have any stories or even fond or not so fond memories of this at all?
I know one of my proudest achievements in architecture is never having to pull an all-nighter. I pride myself on my time management skills, so that's my goal I set for myself, because I know a lot of my peers have pulled all-nighters. I know it's not an uncommon thing, especially before mid-reviews, final reviews. Sometimes you just have to stay up late, but I try my best to keep ahead of things. But there was even, I remember sophomore year, our spring final project. It was a long project. We were trying to build this model. The pieces were not coming together. We designed it in the software, and there were no physics or gravity in that software. And then trying to build it in person, the parts were falling down. Nothing was sticking together. So
rough.
That was the latest. I think we finished it around 2 a.m. So
okay,
that was the latest. That was a late night, but thankfully we had no
worse.
classes in the morning and just took a late night and slept pretty late. But it was a really fun experience. We were just, me and my partners were just listening to music, watching some movies, hanging out. So it was a real, yes, it was a little bit late, but we were just having a bonding experience, and we didn't even realize how late it was till we finished the model, looked at the clock, and we're like, oh, it's already 2 a.m. We should head to sleep.
That's kind of fun, though. That's a much more, it sounds like a kind of even enjoyable experience, despite all of the stuff that clearly seemed to be going wrong on your project. How did it end up turning out? You got it where you wanted?
We did, yeah. We got the model, and our professor liked the model and the project.
Great.
So we were happy with how it came out in the end.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was definitely that, there's that, definitely, that studio culture, especially in architecture, of everyone's talking to each other, everyone's hanging out, everyone's asking each other questions, real, collaborative environment. So even, when we were working on that model, there were a few other groups working on their models, and we constantly be walking up to them, asking questions, just chatting to each other. So it was really, really, you feel it's a nice, warm, welcoming community.
Yeah. It sounds super collaborative, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The studio culture, especially with architecture, so interesting. Such a fun dynamic that I don't know if I see replicated in some of the other majors.
Yeah.
It's almost like you guys move in a little bit. It's like a second dorm somehow for some people.
For a lot of people, it is. Yeah, you get your assigned studio desk with your studio mates in your section, and you become great friends over the course of a semester. You hang out. You spend, you're in there in studio 10 hours a week, and you're for class, and you're probably in there another 10 hours a week outside of class, just hang out with each other, bouncing ideas off each other, and Yeah, if you really need, there's a microwave in the studio, so you can bring some dinner from home, heat it up. So yeah, it's a great little small community within the
That's
school.
sweet. Yeah, it makes a big campus feel small when you have those kinds of
It does,
baked-in dynamics. It's nice that you don't really have to seek that out either because it's part of your class
Yeah.
design. Is it a cohort that you're in as well, or you just have a partner?
Sort of, yeah. So we're like, it depends. Sometimes they're partner projects. Like last semester was me and another person. This semester it's an individual project, but we're still in like a little section of 12 people with like led by one professor. So we get, we can talk to the professor, bounce ideas, but we really just become a nice little unit, the 12 of us, and are constantly chatting with each other, giving advice.
I love that. Do you travel at all outside of Champaign-Urbana with your architecture studies?
We've taken a few trips. Last semester, like the site that we did a project up in Albany Park in Chicago. So we took a day trip up there. We hopped on the buses and went up to Albany Park, did a walking tour.
Cool.
This semester, our project is actually right in downtown Urbana. So
wow.
we have taken some site visits. It's a little bit, less exciting because we just hop on the city bus, take it a few stops, and there's our site. But it is definitely, we have gone out, explored, walked all around campus. Just last week, we were out with our measuring tapes, measuring hallways and chairs around campus. So it's definitely that, using everything as a teaching tool and getting out there and exploring.
That's so cool. Yeah. So I know that's not work for you. That's part of your studies. Do you work as well on campus at all?
I do. I mean, my main work is working for the admissions office as an I-Star. So giving tours, giving presentations, talking to guests, that's sort of the brunt of my work. But even outside of that, do a lot of other clubs, organizations, stay very busy here on campus.
For sure. That's why you're so good at answering these questions, Adams, because you do it all the time.
Yeah, I do have a little practice with this.
Lots of practice. Amazing. Well, Adam, I am curious if you have any other advice for students that are interested in pursuing a degree in an out-of-state university.
Yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice is like, don't be scared about getting out and exploring a new part of the country, a new area. Like that's definitely like when I was looking at schools, like when I was coming down, I was like, none of my schools are within even like a true like driving radius of home. So that was a little bit scary, but definitely like don't be afraid to get out there, explore. I mean, I've met people from all other parts of the country, and everyone's just sort of building that community. And there will be, if you go somewhere new, you will feel a part of it. You will be welcome. So definitely, I love that. And even it can become a fun little conversation starters,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, if I introduce myself as I'm from New York, I get questions of, why are you here? What led you here? And that was a great way to get to know people, even just like joking about like the culture shock, what we call things differently, if we have a weird different accent. It's a fun little game to play with people.
Do you have any like last minute just to add in examples of that?
We found everyone out here calls it bags. We call it cornhole.
Yes. Okay.
Even
you call it cornhole.
We call it cornhole.
Cornhole.
And even the game Foursquare, I always grew up calling it box ball.
Oh, Foursquare. Yes. Box ball.
Yeah.
I don't know that one. That's funny.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Few other random, but it's been cool to sort of get out and see that, it's still the U.S. It's still not that far, but even just the little cultural differences are always a fun little thing to find out.
For sure. And even on the flip side of that, of like having, shared affinity or stories or whatever with people that you ran into here on campus from New York or more in that zone. I also feel like every time I'm at an airport, every time I'm on vacation, I see someone that's like wearing an Illinois shirt and, they're like, hi, hello. And you have to say it back.
Yeah. I always, whenever I'm flying to and from New York, there's always at least a few other Illini on the tour, people, waiting at the waiting rooms, wait for board the plane. So there's definitely that.
That's the network at work there.
Expands everywhere across the world.
Amazing. That will not go away, spoiler alert, after you graduate.
Nope.
If anything, it increases. Okay, Adam, well, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your stories, your experiences, all of the things. And we will see you guys next time.
Thanks
so
you.
much.